The most powerful moment in a woman's life is the moment she chooses herself. Not out of selfishness, not out of arrogance, but out of a deep understanding that her worth is not tied to anyone else's validation. If you don't understand your value, nobody else will. Your worth isn't tied to how someone else treats you, how much money you make, or the things you own. Your worth comes from within who you are at your core. Yet too many women spend years, even decades, searching for validation in the wrong places. You need to understand that self-worth isn't negotiable. When you know your worth, you stop entertaining things that don't align with it. You stop settling for relationships that drain you, jobs that undervalue you, and situations that diminish your shine. You become intentional about how you let people treat you because you know you deserve better. The moment you realize this is the moment everything changes. But knowing your worth also means holding yourself accountable. You can't expect the world to value you if you don't set the tone. That starts with how you carry yourself, how you speak about yourself, and what you tolerate. If you don't see yourself as valuable, you'll accept breadcrumbs and think it's a feast. The truth is, some people won't like it when you start recognizing your value. They'll call you difficult or selfish because you're no longer bending over backward to please them. Let them talk. Those who truly respect you will celebrate your growth. Those who don't, they'll fall away, and that's not a loss. It's a blessing. Knowing your worth also means understanding your boundaries. You don't owe everyone access to your time, energy, or emotions. People who can't handle your boundaries will try to guilt you into lowering them. Stand firm. The right people will respect the limits you set because they value you as much as you value yourself. You have to remember, you're the one who sets the price for how others treat you. If you discount yourself, people will treat you like you're on clearance. Stop doing that. You're not an option or an afterthought, you're the main event. And it's time you started acting like it. When you know your worth, you stop chasing things that aren't meant for you. You trust that what's for you won't require you to beg, force, or shrink yourself. Knowing your worth is the foundation for every decision you make when you choose yourself. Without it, the rest of this journey falls apart. Somewhere along the way, women were taught that putting themselves first is selfish. But let's be real, how can you pour into others if you're running on empty? Taking care of yourself isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Yet so many women feel guilty for doing what they need to do to stay sane and whole. That guilt, it needs to go. Self-care isn't just spa days and vacations. It's making the tough decisions that protect your peace. It's saying no when you mean it, cutting ties with toxic people, and taking time to recharge without explanation. The woman who chooses herself understands that she has nothing to prove to anyone when it comes to her well-being. People might call you selfish when you start prioritizing yourself. They might say, you've changed. And you know what? They're right. You have changed. You've stopped running yourself ragged trying to meet everyone else's expectations while neglecting your own needs. That's not selfish, it's survival. Think about it. If you don't take care of yourself, who will? No one else knows what you need as intimately as you do. You can't expect others to prioritize your health, happiness, or mental clarity. That responsibility falls squarely on your shoulders, and there's no shame in that. Taking care of yourself also means making sacrifices that others might not understand. You might miss a few parties, decline a few invitations, or spend a weekend by yourself instead of running around for others. That's okay. The people who truly care about you will respect your choices, even if they don't always understand them. But here's the hard part. You have to stop seeking validation for putting yourself first. You don't need permission to rest. You don't need approval to take a step back. The only person you need to answer to is the one you see in the mirror. When you stop apologizing for taking care of yourself, you reclaim your power. You send a message to the world that your needs are just as important as anyone else's. And that's not selfish, it's smart. The woman who chooses herself knows this and lives by it unapologetically. Peace is priceless. When you've lived long enough, you realize that peace is worth more than money, status, or even relationships. Yet, too many people sacrifice their peace to keep others happy. The woman who chooses herself knows better. She protects her peace like her life depends on it, because it does. Your peace isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about creating a life where you can thrive. That means being intentional about the energy you allow into your space. Whether it's toxic people, negative environments, or even your self-doubt, anything that disrupts your peace has to go. When you start prioritizing your peace, some people won't like it. They'll accuse you of being distant or unkind because you're no longer entertaining their chaos. Let them feel that way. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. Your job is to protect your peace no matter what. Sometimes protecting your peace means making hard decisions. It might mean walking away from a job that pays well but leaves you miserable. It could mean ending a relationship that's no longer healthy. Or it might mean spending time alone to recharge and reflect. These choices aren't easy, but they're necessary. Your peace also comes from within. It's not just about what you cut out, it's about what you bring in. Meditate, pray, journal, do whatever it takes to center yourself. The woman who chooses herself understands that peace starts with her mindset. But here's the catch. Protecting your peace requires consistency. You can't let your guard down just because things seem calm. Chaos is a way of creeping back in if you're not vigilant. Stay intentional about the people, habits, and thoughts you allow into your life. Your peace is your responsibility. No one else can give it to you, and no one else should be allowed to take it away. The woman who chooses herself knows this, and she guards her peace fiercely. For too long, women have been taught to put their dreams on the back burner. Society says, wait your turn, focus on others first, or your dreams aren't realistic. But let me tell you something, the woman who chooses herself doesn't wait for permission to pursue what's in her heart. She makes her dreams the priority because she knows no one else will do it for her. Your dreams are not silly or selfish. They're part of your purpose. Ignoring them doesn't make you noble, it makes you incomplete. Choosing yourself means recognizing that your dreams are valid no matter how big or small they might seem to others. It's about honoring that inner voice that keeps whispering, there's more for you out there. Putting your dreams first doesn't mean you don't care about others. It simply means you refuse to lose yourself in the process of helping everyone else. There's room for your dreams alongside your responsibilities. The woman who chooses herself learns how to balance her ambitions without apology. The truth is, some people want to understand your dreams, and that's okay. Your vision was given to you, not to them. They don't need to see what you see. What matters is that you believe in it and enough to take the first step, even if you have to take it alone. Choosing yourself means creating space for your dreams. That might look like setting boundaries around your time, saying no to distractions, or even stepping out of your comfort zone. It's not easy, but the payoff is worth it. Every small step forward brings you closer to the life you've envisioned. There will be setbacks. You might fail, stumble, or even doubt yourself along the way. But the woman who chooses herself doesn't let fear stop her. She knows that failure is just a lesson, not a life sentence. She gets back up every time because her dreams are worth it. When you choose your dreams, you're choosing to honor the life you were meant to live. You're saying, I refuse to let my potential go to waste. And that decision, it changes everything. Your dreams deserve center stage because you deserve a life that reflects your full potential. Not everything or everyone in your life is meant to stay. One of the hardest lessons the woman who chooses herself learns is when to walk away. It's not about bitterness or anger, it's about self-preservation. If something or someone isn't serving your growth, it's time to let it go. Walking away doesn't mean you're weak. It takes strength to leave behind what's comfortable but toxic. Whether it's a job, a friendship, or a relationship, you have to recognize when the cost of staying is greater than the courage to leave. Letting go is hard because it often means grieving what could have been. But staying in a situation that stunts your growth is like trying to bloom in a pot that's too small. You can't grow when you're confined. The woman who chooses herself understands that walking away is sometimes the only way forward. There'll be people who try to make you feel guilty for leaving. They'll say you've changed or you're being selfish. But you're not walking away to hurt anyone, you're doing it to heal yourself. Those who truly care about you will understand that. Walking away also means walking towards something better. It's not just about leaving behind what doesn't serve you. It's about making space for what does. Every door you close opens the possibility for a new, better one to appear. But let's be clear, walking away isn't easy. It's a process. You might second guess yourself or feel tempted to go back. That's normal. What matters is that you keep moving forward, even if it's one small step at a time. The woman who chooses herself knows that her energy is sacred. She refuses to waste it on people or situations that drain her. By walking away, she reclaims her power and redirects it toward building a life that aligns with her worth. There's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. The woman who chooses herself understands that solitude isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. Being alone gives you the space to hear your thoughts, focus on your own needs, and reconnect with who you truly are. Society tells women they need someone else to feel complete. But the truth is, you are already whole. You don't need a partner, a friend, or anyone else to validate your existence. Choosing yourself means realizing that your own company is enough. Spending time alone allows you to reflect on your life and your choices. It helps you figure out what truly makes you happy outside of anyone else's influence. That clarity is powerful. It's what gives you the confidence to make decisions that align with your purpose. Being alone doesn't mean you don't value relationships. It just means you're not willing to sacrifice your peace to keep them. The woman who chooses herself knows that she'd rather be alone than settle for something that doesn't bring her joy or growth. There will be moments when solitude feels uncomfortable. You might feel the urge to fill the silence with distractions or people who don't deserve your time. Resist that urge. Use those moments to grow stronger, wiser, and more self-assured. Choosing to be alone is an act of self-respect. It shows that you're willing to wait for what you deserve rather than settle for what's available. It's a declaration that you value yourself enough to stand on your own 2 feet. The woman who chooses herself isn't afraid of solitude because she knows it's temporary. She understands that being alone isn't a weakness, it's a strength. It's in those quiet moments that she finds her true power. Success isn't a one-size-fits-all definition. The woman who chooses herself understands that she doesn't have to live by someone else's standards. Society may try to tell you what success looks like: a big house, a fancy title, or a certain type of relationship, but real success is deeply personal. It's about what makes you feel fulfilled. Choosing yourself means taking the time to define what success looks like for you. Maybe it's building a career you're passionate about, or perhaps it's finding a balance between work and family. It could even be as simple as waking up every day feeling peaceful and content. Whatever it is, it's yours to decide. When you redefine success, you stop comparing yourself to others. You realize that someone else's achievements don't diminish your own. The woman who chooses herself knows that her journey is unique. She doesn't waste time envying someone else's path because she's too busy walking her own. But let's be real, redefining success isn't always easy. It requires you to unlearn the expectations that have been placed on you. Maybe you were told you need to get married by a certain age or have a certain amount of money in the bank. Let go of those pressures. They don't define you. Success on your terms might not look impressive to everyone, and that's okay. The only person who needs to approve of your choices is you. The woman who chooses herself isn't chasing applause, she's chasing alignment. She knows that true success feels right, even if it doesn't look right to others. You also have to be willing to adjust your definition of success as you grow. What fulfills you today might not fulfill you tomorrow, and that's perfectly fine. Success is fluid, not fixed. The woman who chooses herself embraces this flexibility and permits herself to evolve. By redefining success on your terms, you free yourself from the constant need to prove something to the world. You stop living for the opinions of others and start living for what truly matters to you. That's not just success, that's freedom. The people in your life can either lift you or tear you down. The woman who chooses herself is intentional about who she allows into her circle. She knows that the right relationships can be a source of strength, while the wrong ones can be a source of stress. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Choosing yourself means being selective about your relationships. It's about surrounding yourself with people who respect you, support you, and challenge you to be better. These are the relationships that build you, not break you. Sometimes that means cutting ties with people who don't have your best interests at heart. It's not easy to let go of toxic friendships, one-sided relationships, or family members who constantly bring negativity. But the woman who chooses herself knows that her peace is more important than keeping people around just for the sake of it. Healthy relationships are a two-way street. They're built on mutual respect, trust, and effort. The woman who chooses herself understands that she shouldn't have to beg for these things. If someone isn't willing to meet her halfway, she's willing to walk away. It's also important to recognize that building strong relationships takes time and effort. The woman who chooses herself invests in the people who matter to her. She shows up, communicates openly, and supports her loved ones. But she also expects the same in return. Being intentional about relationships doesn't mean you won't face challenges. Even the best relationships have their ups and downs. But the woman who chooses herself is willing to work through conflicts with the people who truly value her. She takes the lessons but leaves the bitterness behind. She understands that holding on to pain only keeps her from moving forward. There will be times when you have to forgive yourself too. Maybe you stayed in a situation longer than you should have, or you made choices that didn't serve you. Choosing yourself means giving yourself grace. You're human, and you're allowed to grow from your mistakes. When you learn to forgive without losing yourself, you reclaim your power. You stop letting the actions of others dictate your emotions or your future. The woman who chooses herself doesn't let resentment hold her back. She forgives not because they deserve it, but because she does. The woman who chooses herself understands that the most valuable investment she can make is in herself. Whether it's time, energy, or resources, she knows that what she pours into herself will shape her future. This isn't about vanity, it's about value. You are your greatest asset, and treating yourself as such is an act of self-respect. Investing in yourself can take many forms. It might mean pursuing education, whether formal or self-taught, to expand your skills and knowledge. It might mean prioritizing your health by eating right, exercising, or simply getting enough rest. It could even mean taking the time to nurture your passions and creativity. Whatever it looks like for you, the point is to make yourself a priority. Too often, women are made to feel guilty for focusing on themselves. You hear things like, you're being selfish, or you should be doing this for someone else. But the truth is, you can't pour from an empty cup. The woman who chooses us knows that taking care of her own needs allows her to show up better for others. Self-investment isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it looks spending a Friday night reading instead of going out. Sometimes it means saying no to a vacation so you can save for a bigger goal. It's about making sacrifices today to build the life you want tomorrow. There will be moments when investing in yourself feels lonely. Not everyone will understand why you're choosing to prioritize your growth. But the woman who chooses herself isn't looking for validation. She's focused on becoming the best version of herself, no matter what anyone else thinks. The rewards of self-investment don't come overnight. It's a slow, steady process that requires patience and persistence. But the woman who chooses herself understands that the payoff is worth it. Every small step she takes toward her goals is a step toward the life she deserves. When you invest in yourself, you send a powerful message to the world: I am worth it. And that belief becomes the foundation for everything else. The woman who chooses herself knows that when she bets on herself, she can't lose. Boundaries are a form of self-love, and the woman who chooses herself is not afraid to set them. She understands that her time, energy, and emotions are precious, and she refuses to let them be taken for granted. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out, it's about protecting your peace. Boundaries can be as simple as saying no to things that don't align with your values, or as complex as walking away from relationships that drain you. The woman who chooses herself knows that her well-being comes first, and she's willing to make tough decisions to safeguard it. Not everyone will appreciate your boundaries. Some people will try to test them, push them, or make you feel guilty for having them. But the woman who chooses herself stands firm. She understands that people who respect her will respect her boundaries too. Setting boundaries requires you to know your worth. You can't enforce limits if you don't believe you deserve them. The woman who chooses herself takes the time to reflect on what she needs and why. She communicates her boundaries clearly and confidently because she values herself enough to demand respect. Sometimes setting boundaries means disappointing people. You might have to say no to a friend, decline a favor, or step back from a situation. That's okay. The woman who chooses herself knows that she can't please everyone, and she refuses to sacrifice her peace for the sake of others' comfort. Boundaries are not walls. They're guidelines for how you deserve to be treated. The woman who chooses herself uses boundaries to create healthier relationships, not to isolate herself. She knows that the right people will appreciate her honesty and the clarity she brings to the table. When you set boundaries, you create space for respect, growth, and authenticity. The woman who chooses herself doesn't apologize for prioritizing her needs. She knows that protecting her peace is not just a choice, it's a necessity. Gratitude is a game changer. The woman who chooses herself knows that while life isn't perfect, there's always something to be thankful for. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have, and that simple shift can change everything. Choosing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring your struggles. It means acknowledging them while also recognizing the blessings in your life. The woman who chooses herself practices gratitude daily, whether through prayer, journaling, or simply taking a moment to reflect. Gratitude isn't just about the big things. It's about appreciating the small moments, a kind word, a warm meal, a quiet evening. The woman who chooses herself finds joy in the little things because she knows that happiness isn't found in grand gestures, but in everyday moments. Practicing gratitude changes how you see yourself and the world around you. It helps you focus on what's going right instead of what's going wrong. The woman who chooses herself uses gratitude as a tool to stay grounded and positive, even during tough times. Gratitude also attracts more of what you appreciate. When you focus on what you're thankful for, you create a mindset of abundance. The woman who chooses herself understands that what you focus on grows, so she chooses to focus on the good. There will be days when it's hard to feel grateful. Life can be challenging and some seasons feel overwhelming. But the woman who chooses herself makes a conscious effort to find at least one thing to be thankful for each day. That practice keeps her resilient. When you embrace gratitude, you realize how far you've come and how much you've already overcome. The woman who chooses herself doesn't take her journey for granted. She celebrates her progress and looks forward to what's ahead, knowing that gratitude is her secret weapon. When you choose yourself, you're not just changing your life, you're setting an example for every woman who watches you. You're showing them that it's okay to demand respect, to dream bigger, and to love themselves fully.